The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway, LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Superspeedway Cup Series Season 13. Chase for the championship continues into round number 12 on this campaign and into what is going to be the second to last race on the season. Good evening, sim racing fans. As always, we're happy to have you topside with us right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Myself, Evan Pasoko, with Andy Kessler alongside with you. Downstairs, the lovely and talented Cisco Scaramuza pushing the buttons and bringing us to you here this evening. 94 laps, just a little bit over 250 miles between the green and the checkered flag here tonight, but most importantly, it is the third of 4 races in this season 13 chase for the championship, Andy, and we're starting to get a very clear picture now. Again, in past seasons when we had a chase, we had elimination rounds. It was a lot longer than 4 weeks. Last season, we didn't see a chase for the championship at all. In fact, last year being just a 8-race season altogether was essentially the length of the races for the championship that we had seen in prior seasons. We really haven't seen how these guys have navigated a 4-race chase for the championship yet. You can't afford any mistakes now, and if you made one, you might be SOL at this point. Garrett Atwell comes into tonight in his return season at the top, with none other than Seth the Merchant just 7 points behind him. Andrew Berger, Chris Bassini, Ronnie Watford within 20 and then 21 points for those last 2 respectively. This thing is far from over, but tonight going to be a critical night, no doubt.
Well, you're absolutely right, Evan. After last week's race, Garrett Atwell, we talked to him, obviously finished a second-place finish last week. He was pleasantly surprised, I guess, very quietly. He's kind of that dark horse here in this chase. Won a race earlier in the season, got qualified, but he didn't get another top 5 all season long. And then the chase starts, and the guy can't finish outside the top 5. I mean, it's just been absolutely phenomenal for Garrett Atwell, his run here in this Championship 4. But then other storylines, Mark Jorgensen Jr. basically out of it last week, point-wise, gets the win, climbs himself back into contention here tonight. Still 25 points out, but still 2 races to get it done. It's definitely not out of the picture. And, of course, can't forget Seth the Merchant there trying to do what's only done one other time by Andrew Berger, and that's win his 3rd championship this season.
We haven't seen a first-time champion since Seth the Merchant did it back in Season 10. Since then, Andrew Berger has picked up a 3rd, and just 1 season ago, Seth the Merchant picked up his 2nd. Those are the only 2 drivers in the history of this Superspeedway Racing Club Superspeedway Cup Series to ever have multiple championships, and both of those names, I think, are in prime position to go for either number 3 or really would be an unconventional number 4 based on just how long we went between Andrew Berger's 2nd championship way back in Season 3 and him picking up his 3rd in Season 11. We went nearly 8 years without seeing somebody get a multi-time championship, and now it might be 3 in a row, which would be an interesting point to look at tonight. There's other drivers obviously in the points there, Jorgensen, Basilia, Peterson, but once you get down past Frank Basilia, who he himself is 36 points back, Christian Peterson is over 100 points back. I gotta think, even despite the fact that we have that different point system than what we do, than what we normally used to see with the standard NASCAR points, 100 points for a win here, it does exaggerate a little bit of the point differences for top positions. I think if you're 100 points back, you're done at this point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, some of those guys were even done before last week's race started. You know, Brandon Chaburko missed last week. Of course, that didn't help his fight at all. Christian Peterson had some issues last week as well, too. So, I mean, it just, you know, listen, it's plate track racing. Anything can happen. We know that. Even Garrett said it last week. The first 2 races, how well he was doing coming into tonight. I mean, he still said coming in these races, still a little bit nervous because you just don't know what's going to happen. You just got to make sure you put yourself in the right spot at the right time at the end of the race, and he has done that so far in the first 2 races. So we'll see if he can get that to continue.
Mark Jorgensen Jr. took home the checkered flag 1 week ago from Daytona circa 07. That was the, I guess I should say, the second to last Xfinity race on the year. We will go to Daytona International Speedway after breaking from tradition 1 year ago, where we actually wrapped things up right here in Lincoln, Alabama. The season finale back in Daytona Beach, Florida, 1 week's time from tonight, November the 18th. The Xfinity cars on track. You're not going to want to miss that one as we hand out some literal hardware. For those of you who know, as we tune in throughout the seasons here, guys take it away. A nice trophy here and there for bringing home championships. But with that, tonight's qualifying session is drawn to a close, and we are ready to go racing. For the penultimate time in Season 13, we take a look trackside at tonight's LSRTV starting grid. Pole position going to go to Josh Hanner, a 59.81 for the Snow Cone Production Ford Fusion. Going to make him your pole sitter here tonight. He will be joined on the front row by the ever-consistent in qualifying number 3 of Paul Servant. Ray Rittenauer, Mark Jorgensen, they're going to start in 3rd and 4th position back on row number 2, and Seth the Merchant, 2nd in the points. Rose from the inside of row number 3, he'll be P5.
Yeah, just to his outside, who was the championship leader going into last week's race, Chris Bassini took a hard hit in the points, 21 back and 4th here tonight. He'll start 6th. Rodney Wofford, he'll start in that 7th spot outside of row number 4. That's going to be the 78 of Josh Ball. Rod Flagg in the 60 car will start 9th, and 10th tonight will be the 83 of Ramon Evans.
Dana Osborne going to be P11 here tonight, and joining him back on row 6 and 12th is going to be Derek Walker. Frank Basilia gets tonight's unlucky number 13 starting position into McDonald's Ford. Matthew Walls in the back on his right-hand side will start 14th position. Garrett Atwell's 04 Toyota in P15.
Christian Peterson will start 16th here tonight. Shane McEachin will start 17th. 18th goes to Scott Warren. Gary Champion will start 19th. And 20th will be that 29 car, Tommy Hall.
21st position tonight for Greg Cooks. Alex Hallinar, the fastest driver in practice, finds himself back in 22nd spot. That's a pink Gatorade Chevrolet SS. Travis Stewart going to start 23rd. Kelly Dahl in the Forces.ca Chevrolet is back 24th. Andrew Berger, P25.
Dan Harrington will start 26th tonight as the field starts to roll off the grid. And 27th goes to Scott Saunders. Roger Stewart will start 28th. 29th goes to Dennis Cook, and Larry Camp, the last car to take qualifying here tonight. He's going to roll off 30th.
We'll cycle things through with a handful of provisionals. 31st through 34th belong to Brandon Chiburko, Matt Quick, Dwayne Cooper, and Joe Morganti. All of those drivers qualifying into the grid here tonight based on provisionals. You did see, as I noted, the Forces.ca paint scheme with Kelly Dahl's Libertad on Chevrolet. Tonight is the Lest We Forget 400. For those practicing Memorial Day, or rather Remembrance Day for those north of the border. And then also we do have some red, white, and blue here tonight. You look at the 28 of Shane McEachin Veterans Day. So the red, white, and blue, and the stars and stripes on with the 28 machine. And you also have the Canadian Remembrance Day with that number 99 machine as well in the field here tonight. We take a look at the tracks facts for this, the Talladega Superspeedway. 2.66 miles in length make up what is known as Dega. Not to mention, it's about 5 stories high of banking. But again, that little bit of a difference compared to Daytona means it doesn't take 100 laps, just 94, to reach the 250-mile difference here tonight. And if we do see an exciting finish, as always, keep an eye to the unnumbered turn number 5, which is the trial 16.5 degrees of banking there. Right there, start-finish line, completely different than where it is here tonight, so that could be a game changer. It could be huge when you look at the overall picture of the championship, when we look at just really how tight this thing could come down to in the final 2 weeks. But nonetheless, so we are ready to rock and roll. We're happy to have you with us right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. The pace car makes the sharp left-hand turn down to the way to the safety of the pit lane, and Josh Hanner going to be in control of the field. American Ethanol, green flag flies, and we are underway in the Lest We Forget 400. But a better jump for the drivers on the outside as Paul Servant challenging for the race lead to turn 1.
Yeah, and almost got Warren in the 76 machine. Already decided to go 3 wide with Alex Hallinar as well. A little further back in the field around that 15 spot, but battle up front, pretty cool right there. Paul Servant on the outside lane. Lots of help from that 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Going to Chris Passini as well. Those top 2 drivers right now, they're going to clear that inside lane. It's going to put Josh Hanner back 1 spot as Jorgensen looks for more on the outside.
Not wanting to give anything up as the 88 machine. In fact, he pushes the 3 through to the number 1 position. Not really in the hopes of helping out Paul Servant, but rather he would just like an opportunity to lead the outside of the racetrack for himself. It's going to be a drag race, though, to complete the first 2.66 miles on the night. It looked like Jorgensen had all the momentum before he'll come up short. Bonus point into the back pocket for that number 3 Chevrolet. Paul Servant takes lap number 1 as your race leader.
Takes that position, 88, kind of falls back a little bit on that top side, allows Hanner now to move up to the top side off of turn number 2. He now leads that top lane. He's got the 88 of Jorgensen all over his back bumper, giving him the edge now back into turn 3, while Ray Rittenauer in the 32 has set the Merchant. They're trying to hold serve with that number 3 and keep him up there, and they will, side by side now in 3.
3 drivers on the bottom and 3 drivers on the outside. Things still double file, about 4 additional rows back from there. That's when you find the single file outside of the top 10. And while they are 2x2 up at the front of the field here, a little bit of separation, not too tight at the moment. Just now 2 laps complete of the 94 on the night. And again, no issue for Paul Servant that time by. But that 2 did make a conscious decision to give up riding around on the inside, go to the outside, the passing lane, do something with it. He'll get a good run this time, coming out of turn number 2. He's got the push from Jorgensen. It's a long way to turn number 3. We'll see if he can clear him.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to clear him this time. Ray Rittenauer is able to stay on that back bumper of Paul Servant. Keeps the momentum going, at least for the time being, for that bottom lane. Usually that's what happens. The top lane gets that run off of the corners, off turn 2, off turn 4. But for some reason, that bottom side can just barely keep it to keep that spot. And I'll tell you what, we've seen it a lot of times, especially with these Cup cars over the course of this season, Evan, is the fact that that top side, it's really, really tough to get actually clear. They can lead some laps up on that high side, but they need more than just 2 cars like we see right now.
A 2's not going to cut it. You see that they're already kind of pinching down. Early in these races, we kind of expect to see them up above that white line. They're already straddling it amongst the 2 with the 88, and obviously if you have less cars, you're going to have to do a little bit more of pinching, a little bit more of side drafting to be able to keep yourself at least relatively in the discussion. I think it would be very difficult, though, for those 2 cars to at least have one of them, let alone both, be able to do something with that line on the inside. You see the guys at the bottom, the 3, the 87, the 32, the 1, the 7, and more now, as they really start to stack up in a tightly condensed line on the bottom. Single file, all push it with each other, but there is help coming on the outside. Passini closing up at a number 1 machine, the 88 Osborne there as well, and even the 71 of Josh Ball begins to join the picture. Rod Flag, though, going to slide up in front of him, go bottom of the top.
Yeah, a couple of drivers choosing to move to that top side. Chris Passini, as you mentioned, now Rod Flag moving up to the top side, making 6 cars strong now on the top side, trying to gain in numbers, get that advantage. You see Christian Peterson as well right back there in that about that 13th spot. He's trying to look and decide which line do he's going right now. He's undecided right now, kind of hovering between both of them now, trying to catch which draft, which lane will give him the most advantage now as the leaders continue to battle it off side by side. Both lines stacked up pretty good heading into the line.
Might be the first time we see somebody maybe get around Paul Servant. He was behind by 3 1,000ths last time. He'll be second again by 3 1,000ths of a second.
I see a trend.
Once again on the money. Not bad. Both drivers on the front row with the 47, 572. Those last 2.66 miles. They'll come at turn number 2, though. They head down the Alabama gang super stretch once again in a dead heat for the race lead. Back in the pack a little bit further, just noted Rod Flag had gone bottom to top, got in front of Josh Ball. Well, he's now gone back down to the inside. Other than that, guys on the top want to ride the top. The guys at the bottom committed to the bottom for the moment.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of being on the top lane, especially early in the run. You get that advantage to have a place to go. If you see trouble ahead of you, trouble behind you, you have this extra couple lanes up on the high side to actually try to get around a guy having some trouble. Maybe a guy hitting the apron and slowing up the field. When you're on the bottom, like you see those cars lined up, they have nowhere to go. They can't go below that yellow line. They can't advance their position doing so. If they do it in the middle of the corners, they're going to end up getting that car very, very loose. So it's just a tough spot to be in on that bottom. You have any trouble, any kind of bobble, and you just have nowhere to go.
So far, though, so good. I mean, we're seeing good side-by-side action, and especially in the first lap. I mean, getting everybody up to speed. There was a lot of single file outside of the top 10. Obviously, ironically enough, you start them 2 by 2 by 2. They have to single file out before they double back up on a green flag stretch, just because the accordion effect kind of lags back as everybody tries to get up onto the gas. But so far, so good. We're 2 wide all the way back until, I'd say, about 16th position. There were 19 drivers the last time by within 1 second of the top position. A little bit of lap traffic to be caught up to at the moment. Scott Saunders, who started this race in 27th position, or at least that's where he qualified, is 44 seconds back, or about 5 seconds in front of the guys leading the race right now. And looks like he'll go to the outside of the racetrack as they go 2 by 2 inside of him. He'll be the first driver, if they get around him, to go 1 lap down.
Yeah, it'll be 3 wide for just a moment. 3 wide, though, at this track. Really, you can go 4 wide. There's that much room here at Talladega, especially on this front stretch when that lane on the bottom, which doesn't have as much banking as the rest of that tri-oval. When that lane opens up, it really gives these guys a lot of room to get around, and right there, it was a great job by everybody getting around that lap traffic, and now they can focus back in on what they're doing and which lanes to pick here, because we saw that too, have an advantage there the last time down this back straightaway, but that advantage basically lost this time here as Paul Servant continues to lead now. The top side battling back, but they'll stall out here in the entrance to turn number 3. Gives the advantage back to the bottom side, but both lanes packed up real nice and tight. This is what you're going to come to see with these Cup cars that we didn't see last week. A lot of movement around, especially with that Daytona 07 track. These cars, those Xfinity cars, were bobbling all over the place, and we saw that contribute to a lot of the cautions we had last week as well.
Interesting that we talk about how much movement we see in these plate track races, and, well, I always stand by my statement that I don't know what the reason is behind some of these very intense and close calls at lap 10 of 94. These guys do it to pass the time and have a little bit of fun. Well, the guys who run 1-2, in fact, have not gone off for the front row tonight, and you'll see Mark Jorgensen Jr. drop back, go to the third lane, and intentionally go back. So before the scoring updates the next time around, I do want to note that the last time by, the drivers who started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were running positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Not a whole lot going on up front early. Bobble by the inside, though. That time at turn number 4 is going to cost him. And there goes that 2 of Josh Hanner. He's led the last couple of laps this time, though. He does so running in front of the 3 as he dives down to the inside.
Yeah, he'll make the move, dive down to the bottom. It basically took about 8 laps for him to get that run finally. Couldn't get it done with the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Well, it looks like the A car blown up. Dana Osborne, problems already hot for that driver. He's going to have to pull off the racetrack. We'll stay green.
Yeah, tough break. Riding in line, things were really tight on the inside. I had noted that, but at the issue, the 8 really wasn't that close to the back bumper, the 32 in front of him. The issue was, and if he backed off knowing that he was getting hot and he saw some flashing red lights, and I take a look back, he did have some front-end damage. So I think that maybe getting a little bit hard into the guy in front of him caused some front-end damage, and that's what led to the machine blowing up. But the problem for him was, Andy, he backed off a car length. He couldn't do anything else. They were in the corner. There's a car behind him. There's a car on the right-hand side. He had nowhere to go but hope that it would make it through. He might have been planning to just go to the apron, get out of line on the back straightaway, but he was stuck in the pack on that bottom line, and the price that he's going to pay is his race. He's done. Engine's gone.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing, and you know what? It all started with a little bit of contact on that opening start. Saw him get in the back of that 60 of Rod Flag. You can see his back bumper with a little bit of a push in there towards the bottom. So that start at the beginning of the race, just kind of a little bit of a checkup, and that caused a little bit of damage. And like you said, that doesn't take much with how much these grills are taped up on these super speedway tracks. So for him, it's not what he wanted to expect here tonight with that early engine expired.
Tough break for him. He trickles down to the pit lane, and again, the good news was, as I noted, he couldn't get out of line because he was stuck in line. The good news was everybody else was able to safely get on by. We have seen incidents where somebody loses an engine, and obviously it's like putting the anchor out the back window in the middle of the pack. The car starts to slow down, everybody scatters, and you see an incident. Luckily, that was not the case in that exchange. Everybody's still good. We're still 2 wide and battling for the race lead up at the front of the field. Paul Servant in the number 3 machine has taken once again control of that inside line. Again, I say it every week, impressive stuff from this 3 Chevrolet. I don't know how long until we start to consider Paul Servant a regular favorite to be in contention for a race win. Interesting to note, we have talked so much about how that 3 has been so great in qualifying, and we're seeing a lot of drivers who have been improving in that effort as well. Again, the interesting thing about qualifying in this series, Andy, is most leagues, in fact, I'd say 99% of them, if you do single car qualifying like we do here, you get 2 laps. Your first lap's a throwaway. A lot of guys will drive up at the top of the wall and then go to the bottom for the second lap. Well, that's not the case here. So a pole time for Josh Hanner of a 59.81 isn't all that quick, but they only get 1 lap. I think it's kind of interesting seeing how a couple of guys are starting to figure out how to master that system.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, the only unfortunate thing, Paul has had a great season here, coming into the chase, 12th in the points, and actually looks like the 8 car back out on the racetrack there. So new life. Maybe it wasn't so bad as what it was, but he able to come down pit road, and now he's back out on the racetrack here. Obviously a lap down, and he's going to have to hope for a caution here in this one. But like you mentioned with the 3, he's just hasn't gotten those finishes he's wanted. Trouble late, things have happened, but he's definitely been one of those guys up front, and he's going to be somebody we're going to have to watch in the new season as well, too.
Drivers already starting to chat about coming down pit road for service. Do want to note, though, as we were talking about Dana Osborne, that there is 1 quick repair allotted, so he obviously no longer has that available on the night. And you might think 15 laps into the race is a little bit early to start talking about pitting. These guys are also working with a 70% fuel cell on board. For those who tune in regularly on Friday nights, you'll know that pit strategy here does play a rather large role in races, especially when they stay green for prolonged periods of time. Battle for the race lead is on once again. Josh Hanner got it. Outside lane with the assist to Chris Passini off to turn 3. Now the 2 once again exchanges positions with the 3 and takes the option to lead this time.
That's twice now the 1 car, Chris Passini, has been able to push that 2 of Josh Hanner back to the lead. The problem is, once he's done that and he's got that clean air, he hasn't been able to get that 32 of Seth DeMerchant or even Frank Basilia up to him enough to give him the advantage and give him the opportunity to lead that inside lane. And right now you see him struggling as he falls back side by side now with that 3 of Paul Servant, trying to get a run here. Seth DeMerchant now to the back bumper. They'll try to get it done here. They start to pull and get closer and closer now on the exit of turn number 2. Just not close enough, bumper to bumper there, to get the advantage heading down this long straightaway.
Almost going to be at quarter distance at about 5 laps from this point. Things moving on very quickly here tonight from Talladega. Again, a lot of guys have kind of figured out where they sit in this championship picture. We're going to catch up to Dennis Cook this time by. He is the only other driver at this moment that's kind of straggling. Top 20 cars in the lead pack. 21st through 24th, 7 seconds back. 25th through 30th is that third pack that's almost 13 seconds back. Dennis Cook, the only other driver right now without any friends, and he'll go to the outside of the racetrack. Your race leader is going to go on by. He will now join, though, Dana Osborne and Scott Saunders 1 lap down, the 19 taking over the lucky dog position. I find it interesting that Dana Osborne blew the engine, and yet he is in the current lucky dog spot, and he's in a great position because look at the 19 falling back. 19's got no help. He's going the wrong direction. You see the 8? He's on the inside, technically working with the guys in the lead pack. Dana Osborne, despite the circumstances, losing the engine or running top 5, is actually doing a really good job.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Was able to get that draft with the lead pack after it went by him there, so that helped him a lot as well, too, and keeps him in that position to be possibly that lucky dog recipient if we do get that caution that he would need. Is obviously not going to be able to make up a lap on the racetrack, so he'll definitely need a caution flag to get him back in contention in this one. But hey, I'll tell you what, a lot of credit when you're going as slow as you are by yourself to be able to drop down in front of this pack of about 20 cars or so that are together and to be able to hang on to that draft. He's done a great job with that and finds himself at least to put himself in contention to get that lucky dog.
Things getting a little bit dicey as we look a little bit more forwards. The 8 machine of Dana Osborne or the 88 machine rather, of Mark Jorgensen Jr., 17th position, has pretty substantial left front damage. We just talked about how the front end damage may have led to the issues out of Dana Osborne, and the 88 got a little bit of a hip check off into 3 after the 13 and the 8 checked up. Those guys pushed up and got into him. You're taking a second look now on the LSRTV replay. That's substantial damage that could hinder him enough to force him to drop out of the pack. He might not be able to keep up with him.
Yeah, it'd be unfortunate, too. Obviously, you can get that fixed in pit road, like we mentioned, but at the same time, it's just not going to be enough, I don't think, to keep him in this lead group here. So a caution's definitely what that driver's going to need now. Some shuffling going on up front, though. Thought Chris Passini, that last time going into turn number 3, might have had the opportunity to take over that race lead. Didn't. 32 says, well, if you're not going to get there, I'm going to go to the bottom right now, and that's exactly what Seth the Merchant does. Drops right to the bottom. Now problems for the 87. Ray Rittenauer gets loose after the tri-oval there. Has to drop to the apron, and now the problem is he can't come back up the racetrack with all those cars screaming by you. He's got to slow up and then get back up on the racetrack, and that's trouble right there for the 87.
Yeah, the tough deal is not only that, but he can't even keep the foot all the way down on that apron, because if you're just flat-footing it, that car's not going to be able to hold it down on the apron. So he had to give up a lot, and the bad news for him is he now loses touch with the lead pack, just as we saw happen to Jorgensen, but he picked up the damage not all that long ago. Now, there is a pack of cars 3, 5, and then 9 seconds back, working together. Tommy Hall, Andrew Berger, Kelly Dahl, 21st to 23rd, probably going to be able to pick himself up with them, but again, you were just in the lead pack. That's not something that you want to see happen to yourself. If we have cautions tonight, no big deal. Get back in the pack and work. Obviously, you'd rather restart inside of the top 5 than outside of the top 20, but it is a super speedway race. You can do what you got to do when the time comes down to it. However, if we see a race go green start to finish, which we haven't seen at a handful of weeks here, well, those are not positions that you can opportune to give yourself up. Side by side, and I think a little bit of contact that time down the backstretch off the 3 and 4 once again, getting nice and cozy with each other. Servant on the inside and Passini with a tight pinch on the outside as he's running out of support. In fact, he's all alone inside the top 5.
Yeah, he's absolutely alone right there. Frank Busilia says, yeah, I've had enough of riding behind you as well, too. He'll take advantage of that. It actually opens up a hole now in front of Josh Hanner. The one of Chris Passini, smart move, drops back to the bottom. Now the question is, which of these drivers inside the top 5 there is going to jump out and possibly go out in front of that 4 car, Matt Welsenbach, when that top line does finally get back up to speed here. So 4 cars now, almost 5 up on that top side. Trying to make a run for it. Not quite to the top 5 just as of yet, but they're working on it in 3.
And it's been a while since we've seen anything happen on the outside. I noted that after the first 10 laps of this race, nobody from the top 6 had gone anywhere. Well, here come the big movers. How about Greg Hooks? He's not on the outside. The 4, the 23, the 78, and the 8, they're the guys now bringing up this outside charge. I do also see some left front damage on that 78 to note of Josh Ball. But the 15 to Greg Hooks right now, the guy flying under the radar, 21st to 8th. A little bit further back, Alex Hallinar's gone 22nd to 11th. That's not surprising because he was the best car in practice as well. But the 94 to Frank Basilia says that he wants to lead the outside charge.
Yeah, he was the first one to jump out in front of that 4, like I had mentioned. He does just that, gets the advantage now to lead that top lane. 5 cars lined up pretty solid right there on that top side, and not much help after that here as they try to work their way off of turn number 4. They'll lose a little bit of ground through the corner, as always, but here they come with a huge charge now. Matt Welsenbach giving the push now to Frank Basilia. He's got an opportunity. He gets that bonus points. Much needed here, 36 back when he came in for tonight for that championship.
I put him right on the cusp of being too far back. The driver behind him, 106 points, it's not happening. The driver in front of him, 25 points back, absolutely realistic. 36 points back, you cannot give anything up. If Frank Basilia wants any chance of winning this championship. He has to win tonight. He has to win next Friday. Well, the 94 is doing good so far. He got the bonus point in the back pocket the last time by for leading a lap. They're not going to make it easy on him. Nothing's guaranteed that he gets another bonus point that's up for grabs for most laps led, but he is in this thing, and he's looking good as drivers head pit side for the first time tonight. And contact coming onto pit road. The 7 are Rodney Wofford, and the 15 are in the grass.
Yeah, that's Greg Hooks, Rodney Wofford. Not going to be what they want. Unsafe pit entry is probably what's going to be costing those guys a penalty, a time stop going into their pit stalls here. So that's going to be big problems for them because they're going to end up losing the draft on this one. So we'll see what happens here. It looks like the 15 is going to serve as penalty. Left side tires only for that driver. The rest of the field, though, that came onto pit road, they're already heading off, and it's going to be trouble for him. No drafting help for the 15.
See the damage on them as well. If they stay in the box to get the damage fixed, that's going to cost them even more additional time. More drivers pit side this time, though. The number 3 of Paul Servant going to give up from the number 1 spot, coming in hot, and he may have got it checked up in time. It was awfully close, though. Walls in the back. Ball, Atwell, Basilia, Evans, Flag. Now Tommy Hall and Andrew Berger also joining them pit side.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that 3 car after he comes down and gets service. If he's going to have to sit there for a speeding penalty, I'll tell you what, if he didn't get it, that was awfully close, and we won't whisper to the officials to take another peek at that one, but I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get it, very lucky, and he is very lucky. Right side tires only. He's down and away. Welsenbach's going to come out right behind him. Frank Basilia there as well.
This one really starting to shuffle things up, and we see a third influx as drivers headed pit side. The 8 is going to stay out, but Seth the Merchant comes down pit road and slides it to the line, and I think he got it checked up in time as well. Peterson down with him. No surprise to see those two in together. If the 32 didn't speed, as Peterson's got to check it up to get into the box. If Seth the Merchant didn't speed, that's about as close as you can cut it onto the pit lane. He slid for about 200 feet.
I'll tell you what, that's about the same thing that happened to the 3 as well, too. Except that 32 is drifting just a bit, and he's got it down and away. 2 tires, right sides. Christian Peterson's going to come out with him as well. So teammates right now have an opportunity. They'll stay in the draft together, so it'll be their chance to get back up into this mix once everything cycles through.
You're going to get a second look at that one by Seth the Merchant. Somehow through all of that, through the fact that Peterson had to check up to avoid getting hit as another car was coming out of pit road. These two guys leave pit road together. Typically, though, there is strength in numbers. You want to have a large group on you, or with you, rather, when you come onto pit road. Well, we saw a big group come down and have a lot of contact, so maybe 2 is the safer call. Down the back stretch, the 32 is Seth the Merchant leads. They're in front of Servant, Basilia, and Walls at the back, and there really is no large pack. There's a lot of single file out of the pit lane. I think those 2 cars are going to win that green flag cycle of pit service.
Yeah, they definitely will, and they were the last 2, really, to come down pit road as well, too. So ahead of steam, though, from that second group right now, the 3, 94, and the 4 all working together right there to catch up to this pack. Now the question is, do they try to take advantage of how slow they're going, or do they just stick right behind them? Looks like Paul Servant going to take a peek to that outside. Welsenbach, the 94 as well. Follow him right through, and now you see that other group coming into the mix as well, with Chris Bassini, Josh Hanner, Alex Hallinar, and, of course, Derek Walker in that 20 machine as well. They're all going to gang up on the high side here, taking away from that 32 and 23.
Yeah, and the momentum's the biggest key. If they just drove straight in line behind DeMerchant and the 23 Peterson, they weren't going to do anything with it. They were out for that one extra lap. It gave them a little bit more speed, but they didn't get in line. Oh, and contact in a save. Seth DeMerchant never fails to impress. Got a little bit of a tap at a right rear quarter panel. That could have easily been 4 cars at the outside fence. He bobbles. He gives up the race lead and falls to 4th, but the car is still on track and in one piece as now the 94 crosses up the 3 of Paul Servant to go to the race lead, and a Merchant going to go right back up from 4th to 2nd.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing right there. We know Seth the Merchant, he's definitely a wheel man, and you can see it pretty much every single week. There's always something that goes on, but that guy definitely some great car control for that 32 as we see the replay back up. Second look of the screen there. It's a little bit of slight contact, and it was just enough, man. But I'll tell you what a great job hanging on to that thing. And you see the top side now struggling just a bit here to try to keep up with these guys. They're actually going to single file it out a little bit more now. Just Josh Hanner in that 20 machine of Derek Walker now going to sit to the on the top side, but they got a lot of work to do with just 2 drivers. They'll try some side drafting, but mostly single file throughout this top 9 here that we have this group. And then I'll tell you what, is how important is pit stop. 6 seconds back now from 10th. You see Garrett Atwell and that other group of drivers there, about 3 or 4 of them. And they're still kind of separated, but kind of interesting when we had about 13, 14 cars, maybe even more in that lead group before the pit stop cycle started. So now to see that pretty much just drop back down to about 9 cars, that's pretty amazing.
The 88 machine on the outside with a little bit of damage drops back. And with that being said, he will now fall 1 lap off for the lead lap. Joining Dennis Cook, Rodney Watford, Roger Stewart, and Scott Saunders as the 5 drivers who, by the way, are all still on track and all only 1 lap down. Matt Quick is the only other driver on the running list in a non-existent 34th position because while he was slated to start 32nd, he did not take the green flag here tonight. So single file up front. Do we see these guys take it easy? In fact, that was quite a contentious cycle of green flag pit stops. I'm surprised all those cars are in one piece. The big thing to note, there was 19 or so cars, I believe, within 1 second of the race lead when green flag pit stop started. Now there's only 9.
Yeah, it is just amazing that just pit stops alone, green flag pit stops at these play tracks, the slightest little bobbles, problems getting into your box, anything. There's just the smallest of mistakes can definitely cost you a lot of time out on the racetrack when you can't come back out with the pack either. So it's definitely it's just something that comes to effect. And then the problem with that, or I wouldn't say problem, especially for the top 9 right now, is the fact that you get these groups like this, and it's so hard for those groups to catch back up to each other. In fact, you can see they were 9 seconds back. Well, they're now 12 seconds back, so they're just going to make it awfully tough with this front group running single file like they are for these other guys to make up any ground without a caution.
That's the risk, as I noted in that first run. If you lose touch with the lead pack, sure, you get knocked out of line, you do a good job of hanging on to it, okay. Or you get a little bit loose, you got to hang on to it, you drop way back, or you intentionally drop back. Whatever the case may be, feel free to drop out of the lead pack. Go to a secondary pack if you want to be 9+ seconds behind. And obviously, through a cycle of green flag pit stop, there's always a percentage of the lead pack that just doesn't execute. They lose time, they drop back, not really intentionally. That's fine if we see yellows. However, so far, liking what we're seeing, 34 laps in of the 94 on the night. And hesitant to say clean. We haven't seen an accident. We did see a couple of close calls, but most certainly still green.
Yeah, it definitely is. And this is what we see, and we typically see with these cup cars is you see these guys just, I don't know if it's the balance of the car, what it is, but it just seems that over the course of this season, all the seasons prior, we can get these long green flag runs with these cup cars for whatever reason it is. It seems though lately, and these guys love the Xfinity cars, but we typically see a lot more cautions than we normally do out of these guys. And you can see the quality of racing is absolutely fantastic. These drivers know what they're doing on these super speedways. So to see like things like what we saw last week with all the cautions, with all the movement of the cars, I mean, yeah, it makes great racing. You can make the 2 lines work. You can make 3 lines work. But the problem is they're just, I wouldn't say out of control. I mean, I'm not in the car of it, but it just seems a total night and day difference.
Still yet to see anybody decide to try to form the outside of the racetrack. The top 9 are single file through 35 laps here tonight from Talladega. We'll take a quick opportunity through this second green flag service to step aside. We'll come right back to Talladega Superspeedway in just a moment. You're watching the Superspeedway Cup Series Chase for the Championship at LSRTV iRacing Live. Frank Basilia, your race leader, at lap number 36.
the straights are unbelievably long. The first time you come here, everyone tells you, you'll be flat out 6th gear for 20 seconds. First time I was here, I lifted halfway down the straight. I didn't believe that it was still going. I was waiting to brake, and I was back on the power. And the Porsche curves are extremely fast and extremely narrow, so it's a tricky track. And every year I've come here, you learn something new every time.
Le Mans is so fast. Wherever you accelerate, you are over 150 miles per hour. Going there, I realized everything you have done before was nothing.
Back live from Lincoln, Alabama, as we are now 40 laps in of just 94 on the night, almost halfway in tonight's Lest We Forget 400 from the Talladega Superspeedway. It's race number 12 of 13 and chase race 3 of 4 on the season 13 Superspeedway Cup Series Championship right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Things have significantly disbanded since we saw a second green flag pit stops. 3 groups of cars came down to the pit lane, and there are a couple of representatives from each of those groups in the lead pack right now that sits just 8 cars strong. A little bit further back, Alex Hallinar in 9th position is actually working with a lap machine. The number 77 of Travis Stewart is also benefiting from this because he is the first driver 1 lap down. So 64 working with the 77, trying to catch up to the top spots. It's tough for 2 cars to catch 8.
Oh, God, yeah. There's not enough speed out there for 2 cars right now. You talk about all the horsepower these cars draw, but 2 cars in a draft, definitely faster than 1, but you're not going to beat out a pack like you see up front towards the front of the field here. 9 cars strong, all single file. I like what I'm seeing out of these guys up front. They're not trying to race it out too much. The second group has been catching them over the last few laps there, Evan. It was 12.5 seconds at one point. It's now under 12, 11.8. The last time by, we'll see this time if it drops any at all again. But I'll tell you what, they're doing something right in that second pack. And not making up a lot of time, but they're making up something here. Still 11.8 seconds back. So it's tough to make up any time. And they've done a great job they gained half a second that lap as well, too. So they are making some ground, but it's going to be pretty close before they make pit stops again.
Yeah, it's not all that deep of a cycle all the way through into this one. There's still 25 cars in the lead lap. I think it's a fair point to note that that's most definitely happening. 10th position right now is Andrew Berger. He's leading a pack that's about 0.3 seconds back. That kind of all the way goes back to 16th position. You got Tommy Hall, Shane McKeach, and Kelly Dahl, Garrett Atwell, Remote Evans, and Ray Rittenauer back there, and a couple of subgroups from there on back all the way through till you get to that final 5-car pack. They're more than half a lap behind at this point. If they maybe not successfully going through a cycle to pit service isn't the right way to put it, but if they don't execute very cleanly, they could find themselves in 20 laps from this point, all being in a position to go a lap down. So we'll see how that plays out, but it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, and it's something that I talk about almost every week, Andy, that 10 laps in, sure, it's fun to go 2 and 3 wide. It might not be the smartest idea. I find it interesting that in a 4-race chase for the championship, when you think you have nothing to lose, you have to go for it because you don't have time to get a 5th place finish, get to the last race, be a couple of points short, and think, what if I just went a little bit harder? Well, in fact, these guys are doing the opposite. In fact, they're doing what we've expected sometimes in other situations for them to do, and that is just take it easy. You got to the first cycle of green flag service. You got that out of the way. Wouldn't be surprised if they don't go too wide in that lead pack until after a completely second cycle, but a caution is out at lap 44, 2 laps shy of the cross flags.
Yeah, trying to find out who exactly that was. Definitely somebody having some issues a little further back in the pack. We'll have to try to see if we can not figure out who it is, but just looks like some problems for somebody out there. And looks like the 88's got some smoke coming off the back of his car right now, so we'll try to pull up a replay for you. But yeah, definitely problems started with the 88 down at turn number 1, and it looked like a couple other drivers checking up in front of him, the 8 car, and then all of a sudden the 49 just got in the back of him. Some contact below. Kelly Dahl involved. The 8, once again, heavy damage to that front end. That's not going to do anything for him after using that reset.
Yeah, it is. Well, he was in a great spot, all things considered. Lost the engine, was in the lead pack, and it's just kind of a rough deal to see that happen the way it did. The 88 thought that is where the issue was going to come from because he was getting pushed into him. But the 49, and I think the 8 saw that, tried to come down. Kelly Dahl kind of came up a little bit. He might have even been trying to get in line behind the 8 or getting ready to, and it just didn't work. And it's pretty heavy contact for the 2 cars that involved in that one. Nonetheless, though, we are under caution. All that talk about the guys 25 seconds off being in a tough spot, completely irrelevant at this moment in time. So, single file, one by one, they come pit side for the first time tonight under yellow flag conditions.
Yeah, first time under yellow. We saw the guys in green flag take 2 tires. This is their opportunity to get 4 fresh tires back underneath their race cars here. Do it under the cautions. The best time to do it. You don't lose any time on the track. You might lose a couple spots, but this is a good opportunity for some of these guys. 94, Frank Basilia. 23 of Christian Peterson were a couple of the first 2 drivers. Looks like left side tires going on the drivers, so still some 2-tire stops for the majority of them. Frank Basilia won the race back off of pit road, set the Merchant, and the rest of the field now exit following him.
Good service, sit it out. We are going to restart, essentially right at the halfway point in this race, and see if we can knock out the next 45 solid laps at a green flag condition, just as we did through the first cycle. A handful of drivers do stay out. Dan Harrington, notably the only driver from the lead lap. The 82 machine took over the race lead that time around. He's also going to cut away by cars with him. Rodney Wofford, Scott Warren, Scott Saunders, Roger Stewart, and Travis Stewart. Going to get the wave by the pace car this time. Try to catch back up, make up their lap lead.
Yeah, definitely a good way to do it. Obviously, only one lucky dog getting it every caution, so might as well stay out, get your wave around, and get back up there. Get yourself back into contention in this one. So we'll see exactly what happens. Looks like Dan Harrington stayed out to lead a lap that time. We'll see if he stays out or actually comes out pit road. Hadn't been too long, or about half a run or so we did right there on a full fuel run. So obviously, I would expect to see that 82 down pit road to at least top off that thing with fuel, but we shall see. He did stay out to lead a lap. Frank Basilia, the rest of the guys, looking forward to getting this thing back in the green flag situation. And I do see those cars now starting to look like they're going to peel off down to pit road. So Frank Basilia will once again regain the race lead here before the green flag.
No major changes, at least up front, from what we noticed in the group beforehand. Dan Harrington just did come down to the pit lane, so it resets everything. The 82 is going to have to go all the way back to about the 25th or 29th, depending on how quickly he gets out of the pit lane and if he's going to end up in front of the guys that are taking their wave by and are back off in turns 3 and 4 at the moment. But it's a bonus point in the back pocket. Dan Harrington, not one of the drivers who comes into tonight in a championship battle. Talking about that, though, for those who may not have tuned in at the top of the show, this is the 3rd of 4 races in this chase for the championship. Into tonight, Garrett Atwell, your championship leader. He's riding 16th right now on track, had a 7-point advantage over Seth the Merchant, who is running second as they run the 32 in control of the standings. Into tonight as well, Andrew Berger was 3rd. He was 20 points back. Chris Bassini and Ronnie Watford tied for 4th and 5th, 21 points back. Mark Jorgensen, P6, 25 back. Last driver in some sort of a realistic position, 36 points back. In 7th was Frank Basilia. Tonight and in 1 week's time, going to be the only 2 opportunities left for them to determine amongst themselves if we see a new first-time champion or if we see a 3rd consecutive year of repeat title takers.
That's going to be interesting to see. I mean, honestly, can anybody, one of the hottest drivers really over the past 4 or 5 seasons here, you got to definitely put that 32 set to Merchant right up there. Not only the race wins, but picking up those couple championships as well. He wasn't able to do it back-to-back, but still 2 championships in 3 seasons, looking for his 3rd one now this season. So it's a pretty cool feat to be able to do that. And we always talk about it, how tough it is not only to just win a race during the season because of the restrictor plate racing, the style of racing it is, but to do what they've done and win those championships like he has. 32, a great job.
Matthew Walls in the back right now, riding in the number 5 position at the moment, and he's joined, actually, going to be alongside him on row number 3 by Paul Servant in P6. A couple of special paint schemes on board, not only those 2 cars, Andy, but a couple of other cars that we've seen here in the field tonight as well, repping identical paint jobs for tonight.
Yeah, Dana Osborne, we saw the trouble with the 8 car. He was running it, but as well the 29 of Tommy Hall running those paint schemes. And really to commemorate, and honor the Dana Osborne's mother, who passed away just recently, a couple weeks ago from cancer. So a pretty cool deal for those guys. Of course, we didn't want to see Dana have the issues he's had here tonight running that paint scheme, but he's got to be pretty happy when a couple of his teammates are doing as well as they have up front here, with an opportunity here over halfway into this race to get themselves a solid run. Not only that, possibly get a win too.
Been a rough go for the number 8, who was included in that bunch, but it's good to see that both the 4 and the 3 side-by-side up at the front of the field, and if one of them could get in victory lane, it would be a nice result for those guys. So we hope to see if they can pull something out here later on in this race. This is going to be a restart, though, with 48 laps complete tonight for the Talladega Superspeedway, just past the halfway point. We'll take a look at your iRacing Midway race break in just a moment. First, though, we get set for the restart. Phil going to cycle out at turn number 4, Frank Basilia and Seth the Merchant side by side on the front row. Only restart tonight outside of the drop of the green flag earlier on this evening as we head towards the start-finish line. The pace car gets set to duck off.
Yeah, it looks to duck off, get back to pit road where it's been for quite a long time here tonight, which is kind of a fresh idea from what we saw 1 week ago. These guys are doing a fantastic job here tonight, and looking for what could be the final restart of the night as well, too, as Frank Basilia leads the way and waits that long-awaited drive to get that green flag as it waves this time by. Pretty good jump, both lanes right there, all lined up pretty tight. It's going to be a drag race now to turn number 1.
Trying to get him up to speed into 3rd and then 4th gear, already 160 miles an hour as they go 2 by 2. Much better start for the inside. The inside is no doubt the place to be on restarts because it's the quicker way around the track before any sort of drafting comes into effect on this one, and they're able to go side by side with each other. Side by side for 3rd with the 32 with a 4 machine. Now you're going to start to see momentum for Seth the Merchant. The second lap off for the restart is his single best opportunity to do something because he loses this ground. I've said it many a time. It's better to go for the race lead starting from 3 car lengths back than it is to start side by side because you need a little bit of juice. You need some momentum. We'll see if they can get something going, caution. But caution behind your race leaders.
Yeah, more caution, more drivers having some issues. We'll see if we can not see what happened there. Maybe the 19, looks like the 78 may be involved in this one as well, too. Tommy Hall, a little bit of damage on that car, so we'll have to see if we can not pick out the replay here and see exactly what happened on this one, but caution now for the second time. So after all them green flag laps, already problems. It looks like the 19 car involved, 19 of the 49 going into turn number 3, made some contact. Dan Harrington as well, but the biggest one, the hardest hit, I should say, was definitely the 19 of Dennis Cook there, hard into the outside wall after the contact was made.
And that one was not a caution from the sim. Race control reserves the right to throw a yellow if there is an accident with 3 cars involved. There were contacts started with the 49 and the 19 and the 82, but really the 19, the only one that ended up going all the way around. In fact, he went up and over down in 3 and 4. Depending on your opinion, I think you could say either way on that one, but a caution flag is out. It is going to be a tough break for Dennis Cook as he tried to get the 19 machine fixed up. We were just on pit road. Pit road going to be open this time by the 94. Going to pass on by race leaders. No reason to come down. And I think if you look all the way back in the pack, nobody through the top 20 down pit road. Actually, 20th position, going to be the first driver down. That'll be Gary Champion. So mostly everybody decides to stay out this time. We are 50 laps at a 94, and with 44 laps to go in tonight's lesson, we forget 400. We'll take a quick opportunity once again to step aside. We go LSRTV non-stop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. Frank Basilia, trying to challenge for a fighting chance in the championship finale in 1 week's time, continues to lead the way.
This is Circuit de la Sarthe, known around the racing world simply as Le Mans. Since 1923, this track in western France has been home to the world's original 24-hour endurance race. Coupled with the likes of the legendary Indianapolis 500 and the Monaco Grand Prix, the 24 Hours of Le Mans is widely regarded as the world's most prestigious endurance race, and it forms a part of motorsport's Treble Crown. The first race was held on the outskirts of Le Mans back in 1906 and was called the French Grand Prix, the first Grand Prix of its kind. It was run on public roads, with one lap of the circuit stretching just over 103 kilometers. Then, in 1922, the secretary of the AECO, Georges Durand, was given 100,000 francs to facilitate and devise a new race for the region. Durand took this as an opportunity to stage something completely unheard of, a 24-hour endurance race that would push the modern race car to its limits, where manufacturers would prove their worth to the world. Durand's original Circuit de la Sarthe stretched 17.2 kilometers and was entirely comprised of public roads. It ventured into the city of Le Mans and stretched to a tight hairpin before venturing on to the 8-kilometer long Mulsanne Straight. In 1929, the hairpin was bypassed due to safety concerns with expanding town suburbs, and safety was always a thing that changed and progressed the racetrack over the years. In 1932, the track as we know began to take shape. That was prompted by the construction of a new 1.5 kilometer bypass running from the start-finish area to the new entrance of the Mulsanne Straight, the now infamous Tête Rouge corner. This section featured the fast first curve that remains today, and what would later become the location of the famous Dunlop Bridge. Now, back in 1923, it was a field of 33 drivers that competed in the inaugural event, and their average speed, 57 miles an hour. By 1956, the field had increased to 49 cars, and they were running at nearly twice the average speed, at 104 miles an hour. As the cars became quicker and the competition rose, the track continued to evolve. For example, in 1972, the final section of the track was completely reconfigured to bypass the dangerous Maison Blanche kink. This included the addition of the Porsche curves and the revised Ford chicanes to slow the cars on the run from Arnage corner to the start-finish line. These features remain today. One of the then traditional aspects of the race was the Le Mans start. Drivers would stand across to the track where the cars were parked, and then at the drop of the French tricolor, they ran to their car, climbed in, fired the engine, engaged first gear, and pulled away in a cloud of exhaust and burned rubber. Not surprisingly, this was discontinued for safety reasons, as drivers would either rush to buckle their seatbelts, they didn't even bother buckling them at all. Dan Gurney, who together with AJ Foyt won the 1967 race, famously recounted using his knees to steer his Ford GT Mark II on their opening lap at speeds well above 200 miles an hour whilst he fastened his seatbelt. Since 1971, Le Mans has reverted to the more traditional rolling start used throughout endurance racing today. Le Mans will ever be known as the proving ground for car manufacturers and a lifelong dream for drivers. It continues to rank as the pinnacle of endurance racing that inspires similar races to take shape around the world. Things like the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, or the 24 Hours of Spa, or the Rolex 24 at Daytona. But there will only ever be one Le Mans. Experience Le Mans on iRacing. So cool, yeah. Nate, what are you working on at the moment?
So I'm working on the animation for the game. We're working on getting pit crews fully developed, and that involves a lot of moving parts. So I'm going in and making sure that each moving part can dovetail smoothly into the next one, so that when you pull in for a pit stop, it looks like the real thing, as opposed to a bunch of jumbled pieces that suddenly stop and then go and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cool, but why aren't you working on the time model? Nothing?
Lights are back off on top of the pace car as we get set for a restart. Two back-to-back yellows in this middle portion of tonight's Lest We Forget 400 for those north of the border, observing Remembrance Day today, and for us south side, Veterans Day as well. And we talked about some of the special paint schemes on aboard some of the cars that you're seeing tonight as well that make tribute to that. We're doubled up though, getting set for a restart. We're happy to have you back with us on Live Sim Racing TV. 40 laps to go in tonight's event. Evan Pizocco, Andy Kessler, along with Cisco Scarbuza with you all the way through green. 45 laps, Andy. Back-to-back yellows have kind of bogged things down. 40 laps, though, not a lot of time left. We've seen us go more than 40 laps of green flag action here tonight. There's nothing to say that this isn't the final restart as we come at a 4.
I think we're just getting the calm before the storm is what we're seeing right now. All these guys getting anxious, the chase guys that are a little further back wanting to make up some points, and the laps are ticking away, so they don't have much time, and the time to get to the fronts right now.
We'll see what the 94 and the 1 can do in the front row. Again, Frank Basilia in a tricky spot. Needs anything less than a win. Not going to cut it if he wants an opportunity to fight for a title. Green flag back in the air, though, off to turn number 1, and really no advantage to either the inside or the outside lane. And get up to speed once again. 31 cars after, in fact, the wave rounds scored on the lead lap.
Yeah, everybody back on the lead lap with the opportunity, like we mentioned, just to get back up into contention for this one. Obviously, there's only so much room up towards the front of the field. You got to get there if you want an opportunity to win this one. Right now, Chris Bassini trying to make up for last week's problems that he had that dropped him from first in the points all the way to 21 back there in 4th place. So he's got a lot of work to do tonight. A win would definitely put him in a good position. And right now he's trying to battle for that race lead now. Seth the Merchant on his back bumper. A side-by-side battle as they head to the line on the front stretch.
Vasily on the inside of the racetrack. He'll have the advantage after those first 2.66 miles are complete back at the start-finish line. So we'll see what happens because, in fact, things were at their calmest when we saw that first yellow, which obviously led to the restart, which led to, evidently, the second yellow flag on the night. But even before that, in the opening 30 laps of this race, things were very aggressive, side by side, and a lot of action going on against each other. So don't think that these guys are going to take it easy. I know, Andy, you said that it's the calm before the storm. These guys... Oh, the 94, though! Basilia problems up front, and there they go. Big junk as the field goes down in 3 and 4.
That's the big one right there, fellas. I mean, I can't even count. There's probably at least 19, 20 cars involved in that one. Heavy damage to a lot of them. The 94, it all started on that front row there. Looked like the 4, Matt Welsenbach, maybe got into the wrong part of the bumper there in the 94. A little touch of the apron. He was around, and then everybody behind him, nowhere to go. Right off a restart, a bunch of drivers having to take that virtual tow to pit road. Man, massive, massive damage to a lot of fast race cars right now.
That one out of nowhere. It wasn't really crazy up front. We were just running around 2 by 2 by 2, but any time you're pushing in the corner, there's a risk of that. You take a second like this when a 94 goes around, and nobody made it through. I mean, the 4 survived, sure. The 32 got by, but, I mean, that was just about half the field. It's been a while since we've seen junk like that. Cars up and over, cars into the catch fence. It's a junkyard back down in turn number 4, and this speed bump in the middle portion of this race continues.
Yeah, it definitely does. One of those guys that are able to get through there. How about Derek Walker? Finally a lucky break for that driver to be able to get through that wreck. It almost seems that just about any time there's an accident out there, he just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, but not so this time. As the replay is going to come up from the 20 car, you see how he can drop right down to the apron and just get through all of that there. Very limited damage from the 20. A great job of driving. And all our leaders, what's left of them, will head down pit road. Heavy damage for that 4 as well. He'll get the free reset there. Be able to use that. He'll get his tires back on that machine as well, too. So Matt Welsenbach's still in it. Derek Walker, great job driving. Seth the Merchant as well, able to get through that. He'll be back out on the racetrack up towards the front of the field. Ray Rittenauer, another one of those guys, able to follow that 20 through the accident. So some guys just, wow, unbelievable right there. That you want to see a big one. That was the big one.
Yeah, and that's an understatement nearly, because that really throws a wrench into all of this. You know, you can look back to those earlier portions in the race. I mean, sure, we saw some guys pick up 20-some-odd spots here and there and march their way through the field and whatnot, but at the end of the day, we were talking about the same group of people. Well, that group of people is either headed down the pit road to get their quick fix, or if they don't have a quick fix left, going to the infield care center. Their night is essentially done. They're trying to reform things up. Not going to be 31 cars at a lead lap for the next restart. About half of them are down pit road. The good news is 2 yellows already in this race, Andy. They weren't really big problems. So there's not a high amount of cars that don't have that quick fix still sitting in the back pocket. So a lot of those guys still going to be able to get back out there, but now they really held their ground very well for nearly 60 laps, and they got to do it all over again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the guys that are going to lose out the most were the guys that weren't able to run around under caution and get to pit road. They had to take that virtual tow. That doesn't help them at all. That's going to be the ones that end up going down a lap, maybe even 2, to get that tow and then get down to pit road. So it's going to be an interesting one as far as them being able to, another caution's what they're going to need to get that wave around. So we're getting late in the game here that they're going to have to, it's basically a small miracle for guys like Frank Busilia, who found himself. We basically put the cutoff to where he was there, 36 points out of the championship hunt with these 2 races to go. So he's one of those guys that just needs to hope that there's something else happens and he can get back up there in contention before this thing's over.
Championship implications also a part of that one. Seth the Merchant, who snuck through on a top side. I think he got some damage in that, but he is elected to stay out. There is visible left front damage. The 87, Ray Rittenauer, is second. He has visible right rear damage. But at the moment, Seth the Merchant is your championship leader. Obviously, as he's leading this race. We came into tonight with Garrett Atwell occupying that position. And through all of what's inspired in the last 15 to 20 laps, he's actually picked up. He does have damage as well, though, but he is up to P7, so nearly putting themselves under the old point system in a tie. But again, the way that it works in this series, it's not 43, 42, 41, 40. The race winner gets 100 points, and you're going down by the first couple of positions, 5 points a position, 195.90, and then down by 4 and 3 and so on and so forth. So Garrett Atwell needs to either be second. Anything else would allow Seth the Merchant to take over the race lead in this one, which is something that I love. You go down to those single point per positions increments, Andy, down when you get outside the top 15, but I love rewarding very substantially much more per position inside of the top 10. It makes things fun. Not good news for Garrett Atwell at the moment. I'm really curious to see, though, how much this damage is going to slow the guys down up front who have it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A couple of those guys that don't have the damage, the 20, the 87, the 24 of Andrew Berger, those guys, we'll see what they can do and possibly get around the 32 of Seth the Merchant. I think, honestly, with that front damage on Seth the Merchant, he'll be fine if he's got some help guys behind him. He'll definitely be okay if he ends up being, second or third in a lane. Then that air's really not hitting that front nose because he's right on the back bumper of somebody. So we'll have to see how it plays out for him. But obviously, he's, in his mind anyway, thinking that there possibly could be another one of these yellows. And if he's involved, he wants to make sure he's got that quick repair in his back pocket.
Lights off at a pace car, so maybe third time's the charm here in this one. It's been about, and really, again, 3 yellows. It's only been 15 laps. I mean, they have come on top of each other back to back to back in this one. So we'll see what happens. Couple of new faces north side. Derek Walker, Andrew Berger, Dwayne Cooper, even Brandon Chaburko, Andy. Somehow somebody who we haven't talked about him tonight. He's got a different paint scheme on board, so maybe we didn't see him, but it'd be Brandon Chaburko, somebody who started 31st tonight. That doesn't matter. Normally, he's up there in 5 laps. He's been back tonight. He's in P6 now and in the conversation.
Yeah, and he almost running what looks to be a Hooters paint scheme, but it's actually a David Hoots paint scheme. Put out the yellow, and they've done that, like you said, 3 times over the last 15 laps. So it's been kind of a mess here as of late, but what we saw at the beginning of the race with that 45-lap run, all green flag, definitely is the possibility to go to the end here. We say that each time we have a restart, but we'll see this time. Maybe it is third time the charm, like you said, but with the intensity, the fact that the chase is going on, where drivers are stacked up in this field here, like Chris Passini way back, I mean, these guys have to go. They have to be aggressive, and this is the time of the race where they will be, so might not be our last yellow.
I think based on the last couple of laps, that's not a far-out inference to see what we're going to see in the next about 34 laps from this one. 60 laps down out of the 94 in tonight's Lest We Forget 400. We take another crack at it. Pace car off and away. American Ethanol green flag for a somewhat beaten and battered Seth the Merchant. Damage for the 32, the 87, and the 22 inside of the top 6 there. You can see it. How does it affect them as they try to get these cars up to speed? Do we see a third lane?
They're trying to get up to speed, and the guys behind are trying to get around a slow car. The 33 of Larry Camp, not quite enough speed. They'll split him, go 3 wide around him after turn number 2. Back up front, the drag race continues for the race lead right now. The bottom side, 3 guys lined up nose to tail right now, able to hold off that charge from the outside with Ray Rittenauer leading the way. It'll slow him down just a little bit, but you'll start to see guys like that 88. Like you see that 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. trying to figure out if he's going to go to that top side and help him out. Top side with the advantage now of turn number 4. Can they hang on to it to the line?
Trying to make that drag race hang out. He'll be able to do it. Seth the Merchant hangs on to lead lap number 61. But again, at 199 miles an hour, that's maybe 2-3 miles an hour off of what I would have expected it to be. Does the damage hurt the 32? I think the 87 of Rittenauer has more substantial damage than Seth the Merchant. What it would concern me at the 32 is you get closer and closer to the nose of the car. Obviously, you talk about overheating issues. For the 87, though, you got to be a little bit sketchy if you're that 24 of Andrew Berger, Andy, pushing on the back bumper of the 87 when the right side's caved in like that. It's a good way to get hooked.
No, it definitely is, and like you mentioned with the damage on the 32, might be slowing him up a little bit. I think a good idea with that is just the fact of how close that 20 keeps getting to that back bumper, and I mean, obviously, that's helping him to keep him up towards the front. As you see some jockeying for position, how about Chaburko and the 04 of Garrett Atwell? Basically, trying to block each other is what's going on right there for a moment. Jaberko, top side, bottom side, wherever Atwell went, he went, but Atwell finally going to get the outside lane now with the help of Jorgensen and the help of the number 29 of Tommy Hall now. We'll finally get to the outside of Brandon Jaberko and try to get around him as well, too, after they play a little bit of games there the last time around.
04 is in the conversation, the 88 machine back there as well, and kind of got off of that hump. Gives these guys an opportunity to kind of get back up to speed and get going. So what do we see in these next 31 some odd laps as we come by this time into the tri-oval? Who is still in this thing? Well, mentioned that Atwell basically had to get the P2 if Seth DeBerchit was going to win this race to maintain the championship lead. He's up to 4th. He is on the rise. Your championship leader is in front of the 32, Garrett Atwell, again, with left rear damage. Don't forget about that. It could be huge, but I'm actually impressed at how good all those couple of beaten and battered cars are actually doing right now in the pack.
Yeah, they're doing a great job right now, and like I said, the damage, if it's minor damage, doesn't affect the speed of the race car, doesn't affect the engine when they're in a pack like that. It really doesn't affect the aerodynamics as well. So only when they're out in front like now, you see the 04 leading that top lane now as Andrew Berger went to the bottom, but you just see the help of the cars behind him keeps that 04 relevant right now. It's a drag race to the start-finish line this time. Jorgensen on the back bumper. He'll give him the push. How about the bonus point for the 04? Garrett Atwell, much needed now. He drops to the bottom. He takes over the race lead.
Atwell on the charge up front with 30 laps to go in tonight's race at the top of the championship. Came back to Superspeedway Cup Series competition this year after being on hiatus for the last couple of seasons. The 04 picked up a win earlier on in Daytona Beach. Now may be in a position to get a championship, but it's far from over. Here comes Mark Jorgensen Jr., who was 25 points back. He can win the race. The problem is, if the championship leader finishes second, he'll still be 20 points back going into next week. Sure, that striking distance, absolutely. But to an extent, these guys are rooting against the 04. I wouldn't be surprised if you start actively seeing them work against him.
Yeah, it's definitely what you're going to see. You're definitely going to see some guys, especially those guys we mentioned in the chase. Andrew Berger, the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr., both those drivers trying to make up points. You can see the top side now. Jorgensen able to get back up there, take advantage of the push now down the back straightaway. Greg Hooks now, we haven't talked about that 15 car at all. He's involved up here at the front of the field as well. They'll clear. Top 2 will clear that bottom lane now. Move Jorgensen up to the race lead. Tommy Hall now slots in the second, side by side though for third.
Battle going to continue on. Again, the 04 still there. We see a lot of cooperation when you see guys working with each other and teammates and whatnot. But it's very rare that we see people actively working against somebody. You effectively have to have the 88, the 29, the 15, the 20, and the 24 all work against the 04. But we've seen it before. We've seen people jump out from behind somebody and them drop like a rock. But again, these guys, they need Garrett Atwell to have a rough finish here. Not that anybody's going to wreck him or anything like that, but they got to put him as back in the field as they can.
Yeah, they need all the points they can get right now, and with him riding second right now on that bottom side, it's going to be tough to get him out of there. It's going to be one of those things, like we said before, a gang up, and it's going to take everybody that's up in this front group right here to do something about it. Right now, not going to worry about it. Lap 67 going away now. This time at the line, Jorgensen going to lead the lap. Atwell just behind him. Andrew Berger as well on that bottom side. Brandon Jaberko now still up in the mix here. Derek Walker, though, on the top side. And I'll tell you what, big shout out for the 20. Great run so far.
Still trying to see what's going to happen. The 88 moves up. The 04 crosses him over. Back to the inside. Garrett Atwell knows how important it is here tonight to walk away with 100 points plus bonuses. He'll go to the point, and I gotta say, it was a nice move he put on Jorgensen. I don't know if the 88 was going high beforehand or if it was the first move in a block, but the 04 caught him off guard, and now the 24 wants to dance. Andrew Berger to the outside. He came into tonight third in the championship. He's also in this fight.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Brandon Jaberko, who's not in contention anymore in this championship, finds himself in contention for the race win. Now second in line on the bottom. He's trying to help out the 04 of Garrett Atwell after those two drivers basically blocking each other about 5-10 laps ago. Now they find themselves having to help each other here as they race down the back straightaway. Andrew Berger with the advantage now back into turn number 3. Will he be able to clear the 04? Not this time. Strong enough on the bottom 4 cars now, trying to hold off the top side. Mark Jorgensen Jr., he wants none of it off of turn number 4. The advantage back to the top side. Berger to the lead.
Andrew Berger in a great position. Talking about this driver, won his championship back in Season 1 as the inaugural champion. Went to get his second in Season 3. And 2 years ago, picked up a third, the most out of anybody. Only one other driver has another championship, multi-time champion. That is Seth the Merchant with 2 apiece. So for the Andrew Berger entry, really an opportunity to do history. And again, told you the points, came into tonight 20 points back. He is absolutely capable of doing it. The problem is you don't really see anybody taking control of this race because there's so many people from the top 5 of the championship right there on top of each other that nobody, as I noted, they need the 04 to drop back, but they don't want to help each other out in order to do so. Looks like it's every man for himself up front with 24 to go.
Yeah, still plenty of time, but no time right now for these guys to try to take advantage of that 04. In a good spot there in that bottom lane. Doesn't need to win the race, but a strong run like he's doing right now is all that Atwell needs. We talked about the insurgents he's had over the chase. Top 5 finishes each and every week, and now finds himself with another opportunity to do that. On the back bumper of Andrew Berger as they head to turn number 3. Brandon Chaburko right there as well. Top side, no momentum with just 2 cars.
Yeah, the 88 and the 29 on the outside have to do everything they can to pinch down from the outside of the racetrack and, well, kind of make up for the lack of help that they have on the outside. Again, guys dropping off, headed to pit road this time. Here we go. Last second strategy call that time. Headed pit side. Company guys going to drop off of this lead pack. The guys inside of the top 5 hold strong.
Yeah, they hold strong, obviously, inside their pit window now, so a lot of the drivers coming down pit road expect only 2 tires for these guys back out on the racetrack. Derek Walker involved in this pit stop as well here this time. He'll take right side tires. He'll be down and away. The 15 of Hooks, 2 tires as well. Chris Passini, 2 tires. He'll drive off in front of these guys.
Yeah, these guys have really split apart. There's a group of cars about 2 seconds back, but there's a lot of room. Again, we talked about green flag service spreading people apart. Well, the extra space no longer has us condensed in a big single file, bumper to bumper line, 2x2x2, back 10-15 rows. I like this kind of race a little bit better. These guys have room to work, but now I think you're starting to see the damage plague the guys a little bit. Garrett Atwell in the 04, struggling to stay on the back bumper of Scott Saunders. So we'll see if it is an issue that continues to hurt him, but if the 29 and the 00 don't work with him, he'd go straight to the back. However, it looks like they'll go to the back bumper this time.
Yeah, they'll hitch up to the back bumper right now because for them, it only benefits them as well to catch up to these top 3 here as they work back into turn number 3 right now. A little bit of a separation between them in 7th place right now. Mark Jorgensen Jr. has lost the draft now of this lead pack here as they work their way off of turn number 4. They'll stay out one more time. I think the pit stop for those guys that did make it was inside the window, but maybe a little bit earlier. It's going to be a while before we see these other drivers head down pit road. It's going to be closer towards the end of this thing, probably with about 10 or 15 laps to go is when they really have to pit. So for those other drivers, I think it was an idea. Come down early, get lined up, get single file, and see if they can not put any distance on the rest of the field by the time they come down and do their cycle of pit stops.
How long do you wait? We saw, obviously, at the beginning of this race, guys come down pit road shy of the lap 30 mark. The restart came at lap number 60, but we did have fuel ticket on before that. I mean, I don't think you're not going to be able to make it. I think that, a couple of guys want to pit now. They'll run out the fuel all the way to the end. And then as well, for other guys, you might want to split it in half or go all the way to the end. Don't take tires. Just get a splash, just enough to get back going. But I think that a lot of these guys, again, are working against each other in the points. I don't think there's a lot of communication amongst the guys inside of the top 6 right now in the lead pack. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, no sense of urgency either, just as of yet either. So, I mean, it's one of those things, probably the first one to come down pit road. The rest will follow here. As you see a little bit of blocking going on up there in the front. Tommy Hall thought he was going to have a front windshield full of Brandon Chaburko. Chaburko decides to go back down to the bottom side right now. 4 cars to the bottom, 2 to the top. Top side trying to get a run here. Pretty good job by the 29 of Tommy Hall using that side draft. Some help from Dwayne Cooper in the 00 right there. Not going to be enough to contend for the race lead, but at least enough to stay right there in contention.
There are those other guys, as we noted, 2 seconds back. Mark Jorgensen Jr. in the 88 machine all by himself. He'll end up back with Matthew Walls at the back, Rod Flag, and Gary Champion soon. They're 5 seconds back. Again, though, under green flag conditions, much as the situation was presented earlier on, is the fact that you're not going to be able to make up that time under green flag conditions. Now, I don't know if they necessarily want to bet on the yellow. Again, the guys up front kind of like the space. They got some arm room, got some wiggle space in order to be able to do anything up at the front of the field. But right now, I think Berger, Chaburko, Hall, Saunders, Cooper, and Atwell, I think they're content with having space up front, because you can see, well, they're moving all over the track. Tommy Hall making a move to the race lead that time with the help for Dwayne Cooper. That's the highest the 00's been all night. He moves into P2.
Yeah, Dwayne Cooper is having a good run last week as well, too, until a late race mishap for him. So, good rebound for him to come back here to Talladega. Took him a while, all the way from 33rd, not even qualifying here in this one, all the way to 2nd now with an opportunity to maybe get some bonus points for himself. Race for that race win before this thing's all said and done. As we see that field start to bunch back up once again, they'll stay single file, though, exiting turn number 4.
Yeah, calm, single file. 24 took a peek to the inside, thought he might have been thinking about ducking off, but again, you need help. You can't come down to the pit lane by yourself and do anything with it. So single file, Tommy Hall, Dwayne Cooper, Andrew Berger, Brandon Chaburko, Scott Saunders, and Garrett Atwell. Atwell, championship leader. Well, you remember Seth the Merchant was at one point in this race not all that long ago, actively in front of him with a 32 machine. Group of the drivers who ducked off to the pit lane back at lap number 71. That would make it a 24-lap push to the end for them. They are good. And you have to look back to that pack now. It's led by Shane McEachin. Then you got Seth the Merchant, Christian Peterson, Dan Harrington. They're 34 seconds behind. What they do now is if they go single file, take off, do their thing, I think they could win this, because the guys up front, Andy, we saw now they're single file, but 5 laps ago they were spread out and pushing here and there, exchanging moves. If the guys back there stay disciplined, get single file, and run Q-lap after Q-lap, these guys come down to the pit lane, they'll get back out on track behind the guys that have already pitted. You have to think long-term here, I think.
No, you definitely do, but you also got to think that, okay, one slip up on pit road for these guys that are up here leading. That's going to help them out as well, too, to make up some of that time. They've made up about a second over the last couple of laps as well, too. So, obviously, lined up as they are right now, definitely making some headway, definitely making some steam, because they're 4 cars. 4 cars, we prove it week ago. More cars you have, the faster you're going to be. Even just it's only 1 car difference now from them in the top 3 right now. It's still a huge difference in speed. It's going to be an opportunity for them. The more time they make up now, the more time less that they have to make when these guys do come down pit road.
The issue also for the guys up front is the guys at the back are in a uniform line. You've got McEachin to Merchant, Peterson to Wofford to Walker, Hooks, and then you could also a couple of lap cars in that mix as well, 1 or 2 here and there. Single file working together. We all know that the strength of the draft is the fact that there are more drivers in line together at one moment, and it's quicker in the draft. The guys up front, it's a group of 3 and a group of 3. The last time, Tommy Hall put down a 48.0. Shane McEachin was a 47.7. If the guys who have already pitted are 0.3 of a second per lap faster, well, they'll be long gone by the time the guys in front come down pit road and get back out.
Yeah, they definitely will. Plus, these guys up front are basically running it out, which means they're running out the lap times as well, too. 15 laps to go right now, and the longer they wait, the less time when they come back out on the racetrack they can make up any time. So it's a catch-22 for these guys. You want to be out front. You want to be leading laps like they're doing right now. You want to have yourself in position of what you think is control of this race, but they also got to be looking, like you said, at that scoring monitor, at where those guys are running, how they're gaining about 2/10 to 3/10 a second per lap. So all this is something that's got to be in the back of their mind. You don't want to wait too long.
Starting to see the guys up front mix it back up once again. Saunders is caught up. He's gone to the outside very briefly. Again, the best thing they can do, get single file. Those 6 of them work together and just go. But 12 laps to go the next time by. They are running out of time to do something about it. The guys behind them have closed in 3 seconds. It was a 36-second disadvantage. Now it's a 33-second disadvantage, which in fact is a 3-second gain for those guys.
Yeah, which is exactly what they need for when these guys do come down pit road. The smaller the number they got on the scoring monitors, more time they're going to get on the back end when they go by these guys when they come down pit road. So it's the advantage definitely to those guys that pitted early, as they've been able to get lined up, get running fast lap times, each and every one over the past 10 or so since they've come down pit road. And it's not because of tires. It's because of the formation. It's because they're able to line up, get single file, be on the back bumper, and not battle each other. They realize that this is their opportunity to make up the ground they need.
How long do you wait? How much fuel, in fact, do these guys have? There's not a lot of time left for them to decide to come down to the pit lane again. The restart came a couple of laps ago now, as we've been back under green flag conditions for a handful of time. We look at your race leader in specific, Tommy Hall. Last time the number 20 Honda machine was on pit road for service was under the caution at lap number 58. I don't think there's a way he makes it to the end of this, talking about that 70% fuel cell. So as I look at this, these guys have to come down pit road. Another interesting thing to note, Andy, is the guys in the middle. Jorgensen, Walzerback, flag champion, that group 9-8 seconds back that I noted as well, they also have to come down to the pit lane. Essentially, the current driver who is highest in the running order that does not need to come back down pit road is Seth the Merchant. Garrett Atwell is in a very bad spot right now in P6 because right now, if it finished fine, you're P6, he's 12th, good news. But if what we think is going to happen with this cycle of service comes true, he's not going to be leading this championship after tonight. We'll see, though. Caution could still change all of it. There'll be 10 laps to go this time.
Yeah, caution definitely changes everything, but you mentioned it just right. Guys that are finding themselves even up front, Andrew Berger needs some good points here tonight to do something in the championship standings. 1 week to go next week and at Daytona, and it's just it's one of them things. You know that fuel gauge is going down, but at the same time you realize I gotta be able to somehow either save enough to stay out and be up here, or we gotta figure a way to get some more fuel in this thing. In the limited amount of time they can stay on pit road, the better.
Driver going to be put a lap down that time, but the guys up at the front of the field, Ramon Evans will fall a second lap down. He and Paul Servant, the only drivers 2 laps down and still on track. A handful of drivers 1 lap down, though. Travis Stewart, Roger Stewart, Alex Hallinar, Frank Basilia, Chris Bassini, Josh Hanner, and Larry Camp. Interesting to note, Frank talking about being involved in the accident. His last hope tonight was, I'd said, to win the race. He's not going to cut it. His championship hopes most likely are going to come to a close as here we come pit side. Tommy Hall, first driver in, and it looks like everybody from that group of 6 successfully down to speed.
Yeah, it looks like that. Now the question is, they made it on pit road in time. Do they slide through their box? Is the stop proficient? Is it 2 tires? Is it fuel only? It looks like fuel only for all those drivers, not even right side tires. Just enough fuel to get them going. Brandon Jaberka will beat out the 24 as well as that 29. Tommy Hall able to lead him off pit road once again and try to get himself back up to speed.
They're digging. We'll see what they can do. The issue is we saw earlier in this race, the group of drivers on the inside catch up and actually got out in front, but the momentum was not in their favor. It's not going to be quite that close this time. 165 miles an hour for Tommy Hall on the inside. No match for the 200 of Seth the Merchant. There they go to the race lead at 8 laps to go.
Yeah, great job right to the front of the field once again for those drivers that just kept that machine, kept that just rolling right there, and a great job with all the number of cars that are there able to keep that speed up. They take over that race lead. They take it over by a bunch now, so a group of eight cars, like you mentioned right now, up to the front of the field. Seth the Merchant looking for that 3rd championship. He's right there in the mix.
Side by side they go in this renewed battle for the race win. They weren't in a position really for the last 20 laps to battle for the race win. but now they are. We'll see what these guys can do. Quick caution is the only hope, I think, of Tommy Hall and company back with Schuberko Berger and also Garrett Atwell in 10th. Devastating for the 04, with Seth the Merchant leading this race in search of an opportunity to take a third career championship in 1 week's time. He's side by side, though, with Rodney Wofford. Wofford only 21 points back into tonight. There's a lot up for grabs in this group of 6 cars up front.
Yeah, and these 6 cars right now know that this is closing time. Laps are winding down. A caution could end it at this point. I mean, or in a couple laps, I should say, once we get underneath 5 to go. So 7 to go, you're at that point. You've got to be aggressive. You got to get yourself up there. But at the same time, you got to be patient. You got to make sure that that move you do is well calculated and it's going to work for you, because you're not going to have many chances late in this race to have a basic do-over.
Going to get to the point shortly inside of 5 laps to go, where if we get a caution, this race is going to be over. That'll be at lap number 90 when we take 5 laps to go. A yellow will mean that we slow things down for the final time. We do not go back into green flag racing conditions. 2 laps until that point in time. The guys behind, well, they've got up to speed. Tommy Hall with Schuberko. The problem is, I think the damage started to hurt some of those guys. Garrett Atwell and Dwayne Cooper 8 seconds back. Andrew Berger by himself. If those guys were together, I'd give them a 50-50 shot of catching up. They're done, though, unless they get a yellow. Fall it off. It's going to be these 6 drivers that you see up at the front of the field. And, in fact, it is only 6 cars, but interestingly enough to note, we do see, Andy, 8 drivers up here. Well, that is because Frank Basilia is there. You do know that the number 94 is 1 lap down. And also in this is Christian Peterson, who is up in the number 3 position right now. He's working with another driver who's not necessarily on the lead lap at the moment either. So you do have Chris Passini and Frank Basilia side by side, the 1 and the 94, who are very much a part of this fight while not being a part of the fight.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, they can dictate exactly who they're going to get up there and help. Maybe a teammate, maybe somebody, a friend of theirs, whatever it is. But obviously down a lap, not going to get that chance for the win here tonight. But definitely have an opportunity to dictate who does get the win here. So we head to one more race left next week. So Frank Basilia obviously got that damage fixed from that wreck. Got the brand new race car. Has the speed that he had earlier in the race, and these guys want to go for the win. I mean, not only do they want to not be involved with what could happen as far as the championship standings, but at the same time, you're out here to win. Guys like Frank Basilia, the thing is, the problem is that he knows he has nothing he can do right now. The points he's going to lose is going to put him out of contention for the championship with 1 week to go, but there's still a lot of out there. I mean, race wins is what these guys come for each and every week.
5 laps to go that time by, seemingly now at the point of no return. It's not as simple if you're the 23 of Christian Peterson. Well, at the moment, you are working with Seth the Merchant. Christian Peterson is 106 points back in the championship. He's not going to win it, but he can do everything in his power to help out Seth the Merchant in doing so. I don't expect the 23 to get out from behind the 32, but for an explanation purpose, for the driver in line, maybe the 7, maybe the 20, this isn't as simple as a game of waiting till turn 4 in the last lap to make the move. 4 laps to go that time by. At any moment, the guy's 12 seconds back, 13 seconds back, 30 seconds back, could wreck, and this thing could be over with. You cannot sit back and wait. You got to make a move now.
Oh, you definitely have to make a move. Top 4, or the only 4, I should say, in that top lane, all teammates right now, and they're trying to get a job done here. Wofford to the point in turn number 3. He'll drop to the bottom. Caution's out, and that'll end it.
Just as we noted it, the 7 Rodney Wofford in front at the moment, and a caution flag will fly. Looks like it's going to end this one, and Garrett Atwell is involved. We were talking about how bad of a result a 10th would have been, Andy. His championship hopes may be done now as he falls out of this thing. We take a look back. It was a heated battle for position with Josh Hanner, and the 04, I think, and it's kind of tough to put blame on this one, Andy, because the 04 had nowhere to go. And the 2 needed to give him room, and the 2 just didn't. So the 04 pushed his way up and ended up wrecking. But I mean, Garrett Atwell's the guy that's turning up the hill, but, I mean, the two has to have seen the 24. I have no idea why he essentially forced the 04 to do that.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, just basically a slower car. They're trying to move their way up to the top, and it's unfortunate right there, especially for the 04. I mean, the guy leading the championship standings, this is not what he wants here. Obviously, Seth the Merchant shown in that 4th spot's going to gain a huge amount of points on him right now. Garrett Atwell shown 20th right now on the board. So it's just, listen, this is restrictor plate racing. This is exactly what guys like Garrett Atwell talked about last week in his interview. This is exactly what Mark Jorgensen Jr. talked about as well, too. You don't know what's going to happen until you get in that race car, until you get up to speed, till you start clicking these laps off of what type of race this is going to be. And it's just... it's one of them things, and it puts pressure on you, and it puts the momentum swing. It's just so great when you're talking about a chase with these super speedway racetracks. It's just it's unbelievable. Anything can happen, and it always does.
Well, talking about how it's been quite some time since we've seen one of those signature Friday night side-by-side photo finishes. We have seen 2 times on Friday nights here on LSRTV a race decided by less than 1/1000th of a second. That is, on the iRacing scoring, we only go down to that point, so it showed up as a difference of 0.000. We've had 2 finishes tighter than that, but these guys just can't get a green flag finish, not having a lot of luck with that.
No, they're not, and one of the drivers, Shane McKeechin, having problems under yellow. He went around, obviously not in the talk of the championship as well, too, so... unfortunate that then we'll get back under the green flag. White flag obviously displayed. It looks like another driver having some problems right there. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on with stuff. I mean, come on, after the fact. So we'll see what happens, but definitely a great job, Rodney Wofford, much deserved, and just keeps adding to that almost what seems to be an insurmountable lead he has overall for career wins. I mean, just keeps adding them up, and it's just amazing, that 7 car.
It'll be an interesting picture in this championship after tonight. Rodney Wofford going to pick up the win. He was 5th tonight, 21 points back. He'll be within striking distance of a Seth the Merchant, who is most likely going to be the driver to take over the championship lead. Garrett Atwell, so good tonight. A 25th place result going to put him from the top maybe to the doghouse after tonight. With 1 race left in the championship, the championship grid changes completely here tonight in the final race at Talladega. Checkered flag, Rodney Wofford, your winner tonight from Talladega, picks up the win in the Lest We Forget 400. Career win for Rodney Wofford, number 18, continues to build upon the record total for the all-time winningest driver in Superspeedway Cup Series history.
Yeah, it was not too long ago, about a month ago or so, a little bit over a month, that he picked up his 17th career win, which broke the tie he had with Brandon Chaburko. It's been a while since Brandon Chaburko, over a year now. Way back on October 2nd in 2015, when Brandon Chaburko was able to get that 16th win and tie Wofford. And Wofford now, another win, puts him 2 ahead now all time, and it's a pretty cool deal when you're talking about 2 of the best drivers in the league. And you look through the whole career totals for drivers and their career wins, and it's just amazing. All the single digits you have all the way through. You only have about 3 drivers that have ever won double digits, and you're talking about one of the best right there. Rodney Wofford, been here since the beginning, and it shows. He knows how to get it done. He does it again here tonight.
And a 7 going to do something that he is very familiar with, and that's doing some celebrating. Rodney Wofford gets himself right back into the thick of things here tonight from Talladega. And this is a brand new ball game with just 1 critical deciding race left on this Season 13 championship. There's only 1 race left in the 2016 calendar year. It's in 1 week's time from now. We'll preview that one for you and more on the other side. First, we'll step aside for one final moment here tonight for the Talladega Superspeedway. You're watching the Superspeedway Cup Series Season 13 Chase for the Championship at LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
was interesting this morning to come out here and get on the track and look closely at how rubber was starting to kind of take to the track, you know, where there were ruts and spots that looked still like dirt, and other spots were super shiny and had a bluish tint.
We scanned this track twice because we needed to be able to measure the differences between the track before it's raced and after it's raced. With dirt track racing, the dynamics of the track change dramatically once it's raced on throughout the race. And by scanning it beforehand, we were able to gain a baseline that we're now able to compare with the scan from after the race. Take a look at the cushion, see where it's built up, see how deep it is, and try to figure out some of these variables that we'll have to account for when we create our digital representations of dirt racing and dirt tracks. Our associate producer, Kevin Einarelli, was actually quite the soldier, and he stayed here all night scanning so that we could get this second scan, because in the morning after the race, they ripped the track up. So the window that we have to collect that data is very limited. So thanks, Kevin. So we had a similar approach with the photography of this track that we had with the laser scan. We photographed it twice. So we were able to get in here right before the race started, right after all the trucks had finished running the track in, and take reference photography of the track. And then we returned today and took another set of reference photography, and we took photos of all the various elements that we need to account for: the cushion, the groove, the areas of the groove that have received rubber, and the apron. And we have a specific technique that we use to take these shots. We are using something called photogrammetry. What photogrammetry is essentially the science or a method which will allow us to take photographs and extract three-dimensionality from them using common elements between the photographs. And it's a great technique to create textures for our racing sim, and it's something we've been doing for a while, but it's especially helpful with dirt because of the three-dimensional characteristics of the dirt and the way it collects. So it's a really good technique, and it should result in a great looking racetrack.
A lot of what I'm seeing kind of confirms what we already believed and already knew and have already started working on. So, you know, my plan is to get together with Dave Kamer and get in detail about what's going on between the tire and the road, because the ruts seem to be a significant piece of the puzzle, where the rubber shows up on top of the ruts. So getting the tire grip correct on a track that has as much variation as a dirt track does is going to be key.
We know that every racetrack, every dirt racetrack is unique. Different soil compositions, different color, different types of grooves developed depending on the different types of cars. So this process that we've gone through this weekend is not going to be a one-off thing. We're going to do it again, increase our knowledge, and we'll take that knowledge home with us, and it will help us create a better version of these tracks in iRacing.
You know, the straights are unbelievably long. The first time you come here, everyone tells you, you know, you'll be flat out sixth gear for 20 seconds. First time I was here, I lifted halfway down the straight. I didn't believe that it was still going. I was waiting to brake, and I was back on the power. And the Porsche curves are extremely fast and extremely narrow, so it's a tricky track. And, you know, every year I've come here, you learn something new every time.
Le Mans is so fast. Wherever you accelerate, you are over 150 miles per hour. Going there, I realized everything you have done before was nothing.
So cool, yeah. Nate, what are you working on at the moment?
So I'm working on the animation for the game. We're working on getting pit crews fully developed, and that involves a lot of moving parts. So I'm going in and making sure that each moving part can dovetail smoothly into the next one, so that when you pull in for a pit stop, it looks like the real thing, as opposed to a bunch of jumbled pieces that suddenly stop and then go and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cool, but why aren't you working on the time model? Nothing?
We're back live from the Talladega Superspeedway for the LSRTV post-race show. Following tonight's Lest We Forget 400, Rodney Wofford, your race winner. We'll go trackside with him in just a moment. First, we take a look at tonight's LSRTV full race results for round number 12. Wofford, the W, Derek Walker, P2, Seth the Merchant in third. We'll be trackside with them in just a moment. Christian Peterson and Greg Cook, solid results. They come home inside of the top 5 tonight. Brandon Shaburko in 6th. Tommy Hall in 7th, Dwayne Cooper P8, Andrew Berger P9, and 10th for Mark Jorgensen Jr.
Ray Rittenauer finishing at 11th spot. 12th goes to Kelly Dahl. Rod Flagg will finish this one at 13th. 14th to Gary Champion. Matt Welsenbach will end up in the 15th spot. 16th goes to Scott Warren. Travis Stewart will finish 17th. Roger Stewart will finish 18th and be the last car on the lead lap. 19th, one lap down. That's Shane McEachin. Frank Busilia, one of those contenders late in the race for the win. He'll finish 20th.
21st tonight belongs to Chris Passini, Dan Harrington, Larry Kemp, Alex Hallinar, and Ramon Evans come home tonight through the top 25. All of these drivers, again, a handful of laps down. 26th, Paul Servant, Garrett Atwell, Scott Saunders. 27th and 28th, it was a notably rough finish for the 04. That's going to shake up his championship hopes. Josh Hanner behind them, 29th, and Joe Morganti in 30th.
31st here tonight, Josh Paul, early exit for him. Dennis Cook as well in the 19 will finish 32nd. 33rd goes to Matt Quick, and Dana Osborne in the number 8. Trouble for him early in this one. He will finish 52 laps down in 34th. It's that time, though. We'll head down to Victory Lane. Evans caught up with tonight's winner, Rodney Wofford.
As we noted, he is no stranger to getting things done late in these races, and tonight he's going to do it via career win number 18. Rodney Wofford, your winner tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway. Rodney, congratulations. We set at 4 laps to go when it was Seth the Merchant leading this race, and he had his teammate on the back bumper, Christian Peterson, essentially, that you guys can't wait till the last time off of the final corner because a caution could come at any moment. And maybe by a stroke of genius or a stroke of luck, you were in front when the yellow flag came out. Talk us through that last restart, you guys pitting early, the decision as opposed to the guys who stayed out, led the bulk of that run, but ended up coming home what was about 4 seconds behind you guys. And then that battle to the end there for the checkers.
I tell you what, it was pure luck there on that yellow coming out. It was glad as hell to see that thing. I'll tell you that right now. A win helps a lot. Before that, we got damaged, was in a wreck. rode around, went 2 laps down, got back somehow. We did the green flag pit. We all stayed together, worked together, and ran that high side. And I tell you what, it was not easy. These Cup cars, with how it is, it's tough. You get real hot. And I got a big thanks to Chris, Derek, and Greg there.
This one obviously of explicit importance to you guys because you came into tonight very much in this thing. 5th in the championship standings, 21 points back. You're going to go to the final race of this season in 1 week's time, 2nd in the points, only 5 points behind Seth the Merchant. The difference between a P1 and a P2 is 5 points. This thing could come down to that. You, though, have 2 wins on the season. He has none, and it may take a win to lock up this title in 1 week's time. And I know you guys love going to Daytona. You're no stranger to victory lane there as well. Do you think that can give you any sort of confidence, or is it the fact that you're going up against Seth the Merchant mean that there's nothing guaranteed?
I mean, it's a plate track, so that's good. We both run together. We've ran a lot of races together, helped each other out a lot. It's pretty much go in there and try to get a win. That's what you got to do to win these things, is win it. Get every point you can, every position. Win is definitely going to help. Everything you can do to get it. Hopefully the luck is on our side, and we'll see how it goes. And just not wreck. That's the main thing.
I know that last season, obviously, it was a little bit of a different championship format, and then it's also going to be changing next year. Based on what we've seen here so far this season, with a 4-race chase for the championship, you're going up against the guy who doesn't have a win. The wins would have benefited you under the old format. How do you think you guys are adapting to the way that the championship is run this season?
Honestly, I haven't paid too much attention at all to the points. I've just went out there, ran with my team, and tried to have fun when we can. Wrecks suck. That's the way it is, though. But I'm just gonna keep going out there, have fun, go for it. Hopefully, the point system and the way it works. And I didn't even know we were down to one last race, and bring it home. But we'll see how it is. Other than that, just gotta hope for the luck as always.
We'll let you take off, Rodney. As always, though, for the 18th time, you're a winner here on Friday nights. The sponsors, the shout-outs. Who gets it done for you guys?
Oh, Evan, I got to thank you, man. Appreciate everything you do. I got to thank Rod Flagg, doing everything that he does, and does an amazing job when he does it. And a big shout-out to the whole team there at DHI. Derek Walker, Chris, Joshua Hanner, Greg Hooks, except for, him plowing me on pit road, even though another car hit us. Give a shout out to my parents if they're watching. I love you guys. All the veterans, thank you for serving our country. I appreciate it very much. And Mellow Yellow. Thank you guys.
I'll tell you what, we spent a lot of the night talking about a possible Andrew Berger 4th championship. We spent a lot of the night talking about Seth the Merchant fighting for a 3rd championship. I think you're overdue for one with 18 career wins, Rodney. Good luck. Hopefully we'll talk with you next week.
Yeah, I hope so. Maybe we'll have to drive a little more aggressive and see what kind of outcome we can get there next week. Until then.
Rodney Wofford's going to look to become the first-time champion since Season 10. He's in the fight with his 18th career win and his 2nd on the season here tonight at Talladega. He goes into Daytona next week, P2 in the standings. Derek Walker had a good run tonight, comes home P2, and trackside with him, and then the other driver in the championship, Seth the Merchant, right afterwards. Trackside is Andy.
Yeah, I'm down here right now with driver to finish 2nd, Derek Walker. Derek, fantastic run for you guys. Up front most of the night there after qualifying 12th. You guys were able to make your way up into the front of the field. And then before we get to the end there, talk about that scary moment there, that big, huge wreck in turns 3 and 4 there. You guys were up towards the front there in the top 10. You saw that happen. You ducked right down to the apron, and man, great call there. We saw a replay right from the hood of your car, and that was a great move right there. And ultimately, that's what gave you this opportunity here tonight.
Yeah, it was actually really funny. I think I was currently complaining at that point in time because there was a big checkup, and I started to lose the pack. but it ended up being a blessing because it gave me plenty of time to react and dive low. I was just afraid that I was going to get ran over from behind. I think it was Ray Rittenauer behind me, and he did a great job to miss me, so I want to say thanks to him for that.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, time and time again, we know it's very tough to run these races every single week. Anything can happen. It always does happen at these types of races, and more times than not, and it's unfortunate, we always end up seeing that 20 car just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tonight, you're fortunate enough to have that room, like you said, able to make the move to the bottom, get around all that mess, and then able to compete for that win all the way out to the end of this thing. Talk about that towards the end there when you're racing guys like Rodney Wofford, guys that just got his 18th career win. I know you guys are still searching for your first ever win, and then you got a guy like Seth the Merchant right there as well too, a two-time champion, all the wins he's had. Talk about running with those guys there at the end and trying to fight for that win.
Yeah, luckily I get to run with Rodney all the time. You know, he's one of my teammates, and he's excellent. He's a pro, obviously, and I knew I would actually rather run with those guys up front because I know that I can trust them to keep the car straight. Because a lot of times you have to pinch a lot in the turns to just stay up there. But it was a good run and a lot of fun. Really aggressive up front, but everybody did their job and kept their cars straight. I was overheating a lot though, and it was just really hard to push Rodney. My team was up there though. I had Chris and I had Rodney and Greg. We were all up there, and I think Chris was a lap down, but he was just doing what he could to help us. So big shout out to him for that, sacrificing, trying to get his lap back just to help us out. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was aggressive. I was really hoping it'd go green because once I got Rodney clear, I had a big head of steam coming after that with Greg Hooks behind me, and I think it would have been a good fun race to the end.
Well, it definitely would have been. I would always love to see these things go green all the way to the end, give it an opportunity to see some maybe 3-4 wide action to the start-finish line. But nonetheless, the second place finish here tonight, not involved in the chase at all, but good to see you up front running with these guys that are battling for that championship and almost sneaking out a win, stealing a win from these guys. But a great run for you guys here, giving us opportunity. Derek, sponsor shout-outs, anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, there's all kinds of people. Everybody over at Dark Horse Inc., Chris, Rodney, Josh. Corey wasn't here tonight, but I'm sure he would have helped us out too. Greg and Miss Piscini, the boss. She runs our team basically. Chris's wife. Big shout out to my sister. She watches every race. She actually calls me Chevy Chase because I just have his kind of luck in these races. It seems like no matter where I'm at, the wreck is right there in front of me. But tonight we got lucky, so I'm happy about that. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to all the veterans. Happy Veterans Day to them, and say thank you for serving and protecting us. And I want to give a shout out also. I don't know if you saw the Dana Osborne crew, but they had paints for his mom that passed recently. So thinking about him and his family, and all their cars look great. I think it was Dana, Paul, Tommy, and Welsenbach. So a big shout out to Dana and them. I don't know how he finished tonight, but hopefully it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, we won't go there because we'll just put it this way. It wasn't a good night for Dana. But,
oh, okay. He had some of my luck then.
Yeah, he had your luck tonight. A couple incidents finished last tonight, but nonetheless, you did mention it, and we did mention it during the race. Some great paint schemes for them, and a great thing for those guys to show that, and a lot of those guys running up front too as well here tonight. So, Derek, congratulations again, second place finish, and it's one step closer. We might be seeing you in victory lane here. Hopefully, it's next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Andy. I want to give another congratulations to Rodney on getting his 18th career win. That's pretty awesome.
It absolutely is. Derek Walker looking for his first. One spot too short here tonight, but nonetheless, we still got one more race to go, and I'm going to slide over here and talk to our third place finisher here tonight, and that was the 32 of Seth the Merchant. Seth, a couple weeks ago, it was okay start to the chase, but you found yourself coming into tonight with the points lead. Now you find yourself still with that points lead, 5 points now ahead of Rodney Wofford. You got to be pretty excited with that, especially no wins on the season, something we don't usually typically see out of the 32.
Yeah, I've been struggling a little bit, getting caught up in wrecks, but coming out front in the points when it matters, I guess, going into the last race should be fun against Rodney. It looks like whoever finishes higher with the way the point system works, it's going to be the champion. So pretty much like last season with the rounds, except for this time it's only going to be me and him.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of those other guys struggling here tonight, 25 points out. That's going to be a tough call to make up all those points in just one race. But a pretty good battle going on with you two guys. Obviously, the most career wins for Rodney Wofford. You got a couple championships in the last 3 seasons. Looking for your third to tie all time with Andrew Berger, who just picked up his a couple seasons ago. I mean, a lot goes into these races. We know how hard it is to win. You have plenty of, or I wouldn't say plenty, you always want more, but you have a lot of wins here since you've joined this series about 4 or 5 seasons ago, I think it was. But talk about the success, obviously, for you guys to be able to get those couple of championships in the last 3 seasons. Have another opportunity here next week to get your third, and what it's meant for you guys, you and your team. Christian Peterson, of course, finishing just behind you guys in fourth there tonight.
I think that there's a few of us in here that really know, I guess you'd say, how to points race and how to always be there at the end, because every season, it's the same. Pretty much, the same couple guys are always up there. Rodney's always been one of the best in the league, so I'm not really surprised he's up there. And Garrett Atwell, pretty sure this is his first season. I'm pretty amazed that he's up here in third. I didn't really know who he was until this season, but we'll see what we can do going into the next week. It's pretty good. I think I've been in the chase every season, except for I think I didn't make it last season. I wrecked out since the chase started, so hopefully have a better result than last season. We can get it done.
Absolutely, be back-to-back for you for the championships for you in that number 32 car. And tonight, though, obviously a good run up front, leading some laps there. Like you said, being up front when it matters the most for you, and that's what it is, and that's what it takes to become the champion, but also to hopefully stay out of the melee. And of course, with that big wreck that did happen, that took a lot of these drivers, a lot of these championship hopefuls out of it tonight. You were up front, got a little bit of damage from it, but you were able to carry it on.
Yeah, that changed the picture in this race, especially big time, because there was probably 5-6 guys in there that we were all up front the entire race up to that point, and they all got taken out. And Frank went a lap down, Passini went a lap down, and that really changed the way that I think the outcome would have been there. Because if that wouldn't have happened, I think we would see a whole different winner tonight.
Yeah, we definitely could have. A lot of fast cars taken out in that wreck, but for you, a third-place finish, a 5-point lead heading into the final race next week. And like you said, basically whoever finishes ahead of the other guy might be walking away with the championship trophy next week. In 1 week's time, it's you and Wofford, that 7 car. Size it up. I mean, just basically keep them in your mirror, keep them in front of you. I mean, that's basically probably the game plan all next week, right?
Yeah, just going to pretty much just try to stay in front of him. Anywhere he goes, I'll go.
That's what it takes, and hopefully you get it done. Hopefully we talk to you next week as a champion, and we wish you the best of luck for that. But until then, sponsor shout-outs, you know the drill.
Just got to thank P-Money Designs, for making the cars, and Peterson Irrigation for letting me put them on my car this week.
There you have it. Third-place finisher, Seth the Merchant, looking for his 3rd championship next week, and wish him best of luck with that. But Evan, it's been a fantastic chase thus far. Just a 4-race chase. A lot of ups and downs for a lot of guys. I mean, Chris Passini 2 weeks ago leading the points. Had a bad race last week. Another one to follow this week. Totally out of the picture now. All the way down to 6th in the points now. Then you had Garrett Atwell. I believe it was 3 straight top 3 finishes. The first 2 races, I should say, were top 3s. You come into tonight, he has the problems late in this race. A horrible finish for him. Just the upswings and downswings that we've seen in just a 4-race chase is just unbelievable, and it comes down to a couple veterans.
Yeah, and I think it's in due part because it's only a 4-race chase for the championship, but again, at the same time, I think it comes down to the point system. The point system is a big reason why we came into tonight with Garrett Atwell being up by 7, Andrew Berger being down by 20, and Chris Passini being down by 21, those being the top 4. And now Seth the Merchant leads with Rodney Wofford back by 5, Garrett Atwell back by 25, and Andrew Berger back by 26. A huge shift. Atwell's not out of it. Berger's not out of it. Jorgensen, 33 back, would really need a miracle to get the job done. But 5 points, that's the difference between P1 and P2. the math could get complicated in 1 week's time. Short
I hope
answer,
not.
win the race. That's the best thing to do.
Hey, why not? I mean, hey, why not go out on top, get the win, again, get the championship? And those two drivers definitely want to get that done next week. And you're talking two of the best in the series. Race win-wise, chase-wise. I mean, it's amazing, though, like I talked with Seth about, not seeing that goose egg in the win column for Seth the Merchant. I mean, who would have thunk, from day one when he came into the series, winning races. I mean, it just, that's been the nature of the beast for the 32, and unfortunately, so far this season, it's been a goose egg for him, and it's just something that we don't usually see, but at the same time, he's done what he's had to do with the top fives and get himself in his position to get that third championship.
If he's able to get it, he'll join some exclusive company. Only one other driver, in fact, has multiple championships outright, but he would tie Andrew Berger with 3. Andrew Berger, one of the original drivers in this series. He was the inaugural Season 1 champion. Or do we see a first-time champ in the Challenger, Rodney Wofford? We're going to find out if Seth the Merchant gets a title without a win, if Rodney Wofford gets maybe a 19th career win en route to a first championship. That deciding factor going to come in 1 week's time, right back here on LSRTV at iRacing Live on Friday for the season finale. Still more action to come this week. We'll see you tomorrow night, right here on LSRTV at iRacing Live for the return of the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. At LSRTV at iRacing Live, coverage begins at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. You can also find an extended broadcast schedule on our website at www.livesimracing.com, and the latest up-to-date information is on our social media. You can give us a follow on Twitter at LSRTV. You can also give us a like on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Live Sim Racing TV. That does it here from Talladega for Season 13 and for 2016. On behalf of the entire team at LSRTV and for the folks behind the scenes, for myself, Evan Pozzocco, Andy Kessler, and Cisco Scaramuza, I want to thank you so much for tuning in and congratulate Rodney Wofford for getting the job done here tonight. It's a championship fight. It's going to be Seth the Merchant and Rodney Wofford. The championship battle will be right here on LSRTV at iRacing Live next Friday, November the 18th. We will see you in Daytona. Good night.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented under the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations and may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form, nor the accounts and descriptions of this event disseminated in any way without the express written permission of Live Sim Racing TV. LSRTV would like to thank its loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.